Guys, welcome back. It's That Simone Guy, talking more PAX Prime stuff. This is the Sony section of my experience at PAX. The very first game I played when I got there was Final Fantasy 15. A lot of people have been comparing the gameplay that they're seeing in videos to Kingdom Hearts, being very third-dimensional, open world, and real time. No separate loading screen for a battle. It just happens right then and there. And it looks like Kingdom Hearts, but it definitely doesn't play like Kingdom Hearts. The combat in Kingdom Hearts is very fast-paced, and you can kind of create your own combos based on the moves that you have available. And you can't really do that in Final Fantasy 15. Granted, you're starting out with a very basic character, nothing upgraded, no other extra abilities or skills purchased. Take this with a grain of salt. It could very well turn out that you can create your own kind of combos like with Kingdom Hearts, but as you go further along. But either way, it's definitely slower than Kingdom Hearts. A lot of your moves have a lot of recovery on them. I was afraid to do anything when I was fighting opponents. It reminded me a little bit of back when I first popped in Smash Brothers on the Wii, not on the Wii U, Smash Brothers Brawl on the Wii. I also couldn't quite get the parry or the evade to work. There was a way to parry incoming attacks and to evade attacks. There's a little pop-up that kind of lets you know which direction the attack is coming from if it's from off-screen. Parry was a shoulder button and then a face button together, and then evade was a completely different shoulder button and a completely different face button, which was tough to get used to because when you assign defensive options or offensive options to a shoulder button and then combine it with a face button, you typically want your players to have mentally associated one particular shoulder button with defense and one with offense. But this one didn't. It had two different shoulder buttons for defensive abilities, and that was a little rough to get used to. I never could quite pull it off. I would have liked some kind of tutorial that explained it a little bit better. There might have been something that I was doing wrong. It's also clear that it's not ready for the PS4 yet. There was some skipping and a little bit of texture popping here and there. It was a little rough. Granted, it's not scheduled until fall of next year, and this was the demo that came out a while ago. This wasn't an updated one or a changed one. It was the same one from before. So, again, you do have to kind of take my opinion with a grain of salt. And even with the things that I'm saying, I still want to play it. I still admire the potential that I'm seeing. Just gotta kind of loosen up the hinges in a couple places. Next, I played Wadum, which is from the creator of Katamari Damacy. And you can tell that right from the get-go. It looks very much the same kind of aesthetic to it. Same kind of adorable, fun, cutesy kind of world to it. The universe has exploded, and your job as the mayor, I don't know if it's the mayor of the galaxy or what, but your job as the mayor is to try and bring everybody back together again. You do this, kind of interacting in different ways, very contextual, very situational kind of thing. Man, their booth was just great. They had beanbag chairs, there was balloons. They went the extra mile, made shirts for kids, but they sold out like immediately. I guess kids really liked the game. Not a whole lot to say except that a lot of time, like a good 20 minutes passed, and I felt like I was just barely scratching the surface with the game. Like it feels big for something so I don't want to say childish, but so simple. Something that's that simple is somehow also so grand and huge. It's a weird, kind of surreal feeling, but I guess that's kind of the Katamari games in a nutshell too. So I didn't get a release date from them, but I'm sure, just Google it if you really want to. Next, I played Mad Max, which I realized halfway through in the line, I was like, oh crap, this comes out on console in a couple days. I could just wait and play it then. But, it's too late after that. It has very Arkham Asylum type combat, as I'm sure you've probably noticed from the gameplay videos. However, there's timing involved. There's a little circle that will, you have to try and time it, and depending on how close you time it, either Max completely just eats the hit, or he'll counter it like he would with Batman. He's not quite as, finessed in his combat as Batman is, but to kind of make up for that, he has he's not afraid to kill somebody. He has no qualms about bending someone over a shotgun and just blowing their guts out through their ass. It's very, very satisfying, I'll tell you that much. The car combat is very cool. You actually have car attacks. The car itself has a lot of usage. It feels, kind of going back to the Batman comparison, the car mechanics in this feel more deserved, and they make more sense in Mad Max than they do in Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight shoehorned too much of its Batmobile usage. This actually feels like it's earned, it's deserved. Partially because your enemies are going to be driving around a lot of things too. You can't be on foot for that. You have to kind of you have to bring them down to your level. I will say though that the cars have very Rocket League type physics. It's a little silly and it will take a little getting used to, but it's out now. I'm sure you guys could probably tell me more about it than I could tell you. And then finally, the thing that I probably spent the most time on in terms of Sony games was Street Fighter V. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I wanted to get in as many matches as I could. One of the great things about playing a fighting game at something like PAX or E3 or what have you, when they have a demo set up, is that it's so easy to get multiple matches in. You go up there, you play one round, then you go back to the end of the line, and everyone else goes through just as quickly. You only get one shot, so before you know it, you're back up at the front of the line. And what's also cool about it is that each time you go up there, it's a different experience. If I was to go through the Mad Max line several times, I'd just play the same level each time. But with a fighting game, you're going up against a different person each time, picking a different character each time, of varying levels of experience. So that was super cool. Street Fighter V is good, to put it in simplest terms. Just a fair warning, I'm going to nerd out about Street Fighter here for a few minutes. So there's nothing else in the video. So if you don't want to hear Street Fighter nerdness, then you can just thank you for watching and you're free to go. Street Fighter V is shaping up to be really good. They've scaled back some of the damage. Some people were concerned, and rightfully so, that the game's damage was too high, and they've scaled that back a little bit. I would like to see them scale it back a little bit more. Some of the matches were still going a little too quick. The HUD is still ugly as fuck. I hate it so much. Just this ugly, nasty green bar sitting up there, nothing else. The special bar and the V trigger look good. Those look fine. I guess it's just mainly the health bars up at the top that bugs me. In terms of independent characters, the big one on everyone's mind is Armika, who was announced, I think, literally the day before PAX, and she was playable on the PAX Prime floor. That's a grappler, all right. She's definitely like a grappler's grappler. She's got a couple of command throws. She has one where she takes your hand, spins you around, and throws you behind, where you were, and kind of puts them in a stagger state. If you're near a wall and you do that move, they will actually bounce off of the wall and drop kick or another throw or her V trigger or V skill. No, V trigger. Speaking of which, her V trigger is an assist from, you saw in the trailer, the girl in the red suit. I don't know who that is, by the way. But you can actually aim her. You can actually decide if she comes from the side or from the top as an overhead. And no matter where it comes from, if it connects, it sends your opponent into the air. And that also, again, it sets you up for an air throw. She actually also has an anti-air flip. Quarter circle forward, I believe, is... she does this jumping flip through the air. And at first it just looks like something to get around the stage, and you can use it that way, but it's really punishable. You're super available. Every time I did it just to get around the screen, I got smacked around pretty hard for it. Its primary purpose is to catch opponents out of the air. When that happens, she will slam them kind of back down into the ground again. She actually pulls out a mic and starts talking smack, and it actually powers her up. Depending on how long she does it for, her next throw will be that much more powerful. And I didn't get it quite to this extent, but from what I'm told, it's possible to power that up to the point where like the next throw is just like an automatic KO. So that's insane. I imagine that probably takes a while though. There is some armor to it as well. I think it's only one hit, but it can also eat projectiles, so that's super useful, especially for a grappler who has like no distance game. Her walk speed is what I would call steady. It's not fast and it's not slow. It's deliberate. She does like a little gallop, and so you'll be able to get some footsie game in there as well. One of the other ones I was really looking forward to playing was Vega. I'm primarily a Vega player. Even though I don't like charge characters, I've always made an exception for Vega because of his charge moves are what comprise his mix-up game, and that's what I like to do. Only now, as some of you are already aware, Vega is no longer a charge character. So far, the only charge character is Bison, who I haven't played as. But Vega is now a motion character. You do Hadokens and reverse Hadokens, and he also has a mechanic where now you can voluntarily remove the claw. In the past, you had the claw on no matter what, and if you took too many hits, then the claw came off and you had to go and get it again. In this, you can voluntarily remove the claw. The advantage to that is that you have more moves available. When he has the claw, he has extended range. He can reach a lot further because of the claw. When he doesn't have it, you lose that range, but more moves open up to you. For example, people are familiar with the Azuna drop that he does. When you don't have the claw, you don't need to grab the opponent out of the air to do it. You can be on the ground. It's a command grab. You can just be right next to them on the ground and without the claw and just go straight into the Azuna drop from there. He has better recovery when he doesn't have the claw. He basically becomes more of a rushdown character. Not straight up rushdown like Nakali is, but much more of one, which is good because that helps to give Vega players that lose the claw they're not completely defenseless. And it also actually, again, you can switch to it if you want. If you're more of a rushdown and you want to play that kind of style until you get backed into a corner and then you switch to the claw to kind of keep your opponent at bay. The trick is that if you have the claw out and you lose it, you can't pick it back up again. So there is a little bit of risk to having it out there as well. His forward roll is now completely safe. He no longer ends his forward roll with that kind of right arm or claw hand forward strike pose. He's no longer, that used to mean that you were available to punish after that. But they've changed it now, and instead of that reaching out claw motion, he does a forward flip and lands on his feet. And so now he's completely safe when he does that. Even more so if you were to EX it. I only got a few matches in with him, but it really does kind of seem like Vega has no real weaknesses. There weren't a whole lot of Nash or Birdie players. I encountered a couple of Kens. Ken gave me the most trouble, personally. There were some very ambiguous moves where I wasn't quite sure if it was high or low or not. However, that could also just be his ability to cancel a move into another one. So yeah, that's what I played at the Sony booth. Thank you for letting me nerd out about Street Fighter for 5-6 minutes. And I will catch you guys in the next video where we'll talk all about the indies at PAX Prime. So I'll see you then. Thank you.